Crochet Sister. Today, as you can see, we are going to be crocheting the most adorable crochet pouch ever that you can store all of your go-to tools, just like me. And at the front we have this beautiful pocket with the flowers. So this is the front pocket, and then when you open it, there is a little magnet to keep it nice and closed. And this is what it looks inside. 5 different pockets and little organizers for every single tool. It was so fun, so quick and easy to crochet. You will absolutely love it. I really hope you like it. And now let's learn how to crochet this stunning crochet pouch. For this project, you will need a Aran/worsted weight yarn, preferably a 100% cotton. This is the one that I'm going to be using, and these are all the colors I'm going to be using. This is the Donny by Tessiland.com. For my crochet hook, I'm going to be using a 5mm, this one here. And then for the extra tools, I'm going to be using tape measure, darning needle, scissors. Everything that I'm going to be using, I'll link in the description, so feel free to check it out. We are also going to be adding a pocket with a zip. So I'm going to be using one of these zippers here. So this is the one that I'm going to be using. Not this color, we are going to be choosing one later, but this is the zip I'm going to be using. The first thing we have to do is to make the main panel, in which will be our case, the outside of the case. Mine is going to be in orange, and this is what it looks like. So I'm going to show you how to make this, because this is also the base. Hello everyone. You're so tired. You tired? As I was saying, because this is the main stitch that we are going to be using, and the method we are going to be using to make all of the little pockets and panels, and then all the others I will share as well with you. But the first one we have to make is this one. So this is the one I'm going to show you. So go ahead and grab the first color you are using. I'm going to be using orange, and your crochet hook, and let's begin. Begin by working your slip knot and then chain 2. If you want, you can do your base with a chain and then go back with half double crochets. I'm going to be doing the half double crochet foundation row. So once you made a chain of 2, wrap the yarn around the hook, insert into the bottom the first chain, and then pull up a loop. Now you will have 3 loops on the hook. You're going to yarn over, pull through the first one, keeping all the others on the hook like this, and now yarn over and pull through all the loops, making a half double crochet. The chain 2 at the beginning counts as the first half double crochet, so we are using that chain, the one that is left here. Now to continue making the half double crochets, you're going to be wrapping the yarn around the hook, inserting into that bottom stitch. So we have the half double crochet, there is a bottom stitch here. Insert into that, making sure that you get 2 loops at the bottom here, like this. And then yarn over, pull up a loop, and then yarn over, pull through the first one, keeping all the others on the hook like this. And then yarn over, pull through all the loops, completing the half double crochet. We are working upwards, but if I turn it sideways like this, you will have the half double crochets sideways. So you have the chain and your first row already completed, so you don't have to do the chain plus the half double crochets on top. So now follow the same process until you have 24 stitches in total. So we are going to be having the chain at the beginning and then 23 half double crochets. So once you have the 24 stitches across, this is what it's going to look like. And now the repeat is going to be simply chain 1, turn, and then work into every single stitch down. So the chain 1, it's not going to be counting as a stitch. When you get at the end, make sure that you get the last two. So I'm going to my second to last, and then the last one is going to be that chain one right at the end. And now from now on, it's pretty simple because you're just going to be working into the half double crochet, stitches across. So chain one, turn, and then half double crochet into every single stitch down. When you get at the end, make sure you get that very last one. And now you can simply repeat row 3 until you have 40 rows. So I'm going to be doing for my panel 40, but you can do also a little bit bigger if you want your panel to be bigger. So once I have the 40 rows in total, I will be back and then I'll show you what that looks like. So here is my panel now completed. This is what it looks like. So I have the 40 rows in total here. And now let me measure so you know the measurement of this panel, the first one. I'm not gonna be stretching, just gonna measure it as it is like this. So the length of my panel is 42 centimeters. And then the width is 18.5. Once you have your panel done, you can then fasten off. You can leave enough yarn for the weave-in. And then just pass the end through the loop and make it nice and tight. And then so that we don't have a lot of weave-ins to do at the end, I'm gonna do as I go. So I'm going to be doing the weave-ins of these two. And when doing the weave-in, make sure you choose one of the sides to be the reverse of your project, and then the reverse where you're doing the weave-ins on this bigger panel will be where we are going to be adding all of the pockets. So this is the side I'm going to be adding all the pockets. So we can add a little stitch marker just so we know that this side will be where we are adding all of the pockets. Here's the base of our case now complete. This is what it looks like. And now we are going to be making every single little pocket and storage detail inside our case. So the next one, the first one that I'm going to be doing is making the larger pocket on one of the sides. It's going to go on one of the sides. And that pocket will have a zipper. So that one I'm planning on doing it colorful. So I'm going to follow exactly the same single crochet and stitch count as the base, but then I'm going to change color every 2 rows, and then I'm going to explain to you how I did the color changing. So this is what it looks like. I'm changing colors every 2 rows. Once you finished the first 2, you're gonna have to add the new color if you are doing the changing of colors here. So you are simply going to be, so I'm just gonna move the pink out of the way for now. And then work that last half double crochet, and now you want to add the next color. So you're going to drop the blue, take your next color, and then leave a little tail for the weave-in, and finish this half double crochet with the new color like so. Now we are going to be having the 2 colors together, the blue and the orange here. You're going to chain 1 with the new color. Turn your work, you can take both the ends with you, and we are going to be feeding the 2 ends in between our half double crochets. So the chain 1 does not count as a stitch, so go into the first one and work the first half double crochet. And now you can continue working the half double crochets all the way down, making sure that you're going to feed the 2 yarns in between the half double crochets, the end and the first color. Once you just made a couple of half double crochets, you can drop the orange, the shorter end, and continue with the second color, and then continue with the half double crochets, feeding the other color in between the half double crochets. And that's it. That's how you add a new color. Now I'm going to show you how you're going to be going from one row to the next, in which is exactly the same method, but you're already going to be having the yarn in between the half double crochets, and it's going to be here at the end. So when you get at the end, you're going to work that last half double crochet, don't finish it, drop the blue, take the pink, the second color, and finish that half double crochet with the new color. Now chain one with the new color, turn, already taking with you the other color, the blue here, and then you're going to be working one half double crochet into that very first stitch, feeding the other color in between the half double crochets, and now you're going to work the half double crochets all the way down, feeding the other color in between the half double crochets. And this is how you're going to be working the colorful smaller panel. So the first thing you have to do is to work as many rows you want for the beginning of the pocket. So I did 6 rows in total, and now I'm going to be making the gap for the zipper. So when you get at the end of row 6, you want to change into your other color you are using. So I'm going to change it into pink, and then I'm going to chain 1. Into this next section, I'm not going to be taking the end with me because we are going to be making the little gap. So I'm going to then turn my work and then half double crochet into the next 3. So once you made the 3 half double crochets at the beginning, you're going to be skipping the next 18, and then we are going to be making a chain to cover the skipped stitches here, and then half double crochet into the last 3. So now we have to make a chain of 18. The chain of 18 is not gonna go all the way to the end. Make sure that it's nice and straight, it's not twisted. Now go into the last 3. So skip the next 18, go into the last 3 and work 1 half double crochet. So this is what it's going to look like, and now you just want to stretch it out a little bit. And this is what it looks like with the little gap for the zip. So now we have to use the same color and make the next row going down and going into the chain as well. So chain 1, turn, work 1 half double crochet into the first 3. And now we go into the chain. So you can go into the chain or around the chain. I'm gonna go into the chain. So go into the first one. I'm going to turn it to me like this. Go into the first chain, half double crochet, and now you can half double crochet all the way down the chain. And then when you get at the end, half double crochet into the last 3. When you get into that very last half double crochet, you can finish that with the blue and finish the last 2 at the top using blue, or you can trim and reattach your yarn. It's completely up to you. I'm simply just gonna be moving and finishing this last half double crochet using the blue, just moving it upwards and finishing like that. And then I can cover this little end here when I'm sewing this panel in place. I'm not going to be taking the pink one with me because now we are not going to be using it anymore. So we can simply just trim it, leaving a little tail for the weave in. So chain 1 with the next color, and then you're going to half double crochet all the way down. And now you can choose if you want to do 1 or 2 rows to finish it off using the other color. In this case here I'm using blue. I'm going to be doing 2 rows at the top to finish it off. So I just finished row 10, as you can see. Now we can fasten off, but before we do that, we have to leave enough yarn for the sewing. We are doing all the way around, attaching this into our bigger panel. So I'm gonna go around my sewing area 3 times with the yarn. So once, twice, and then the last time all the way around. And this is gonna be enough to sew the entire area around. Now trim, and then chain 1 and fasten off. And then if you want to, you can weave in the ends. This is gonna be my right side, so I'm going to weave in here on the other side. This is what the pocket looks like. Isn't this the coolest thing? And this is gonna go on one of the sides, just like that. And then the zip is gonna go here. So that is the next thing I'm gonna do. I'm going to be sewing the zipper to our pocket before we sew it in place. Now, which of these should I use? Wait a minute. Look at this one. This is actually the perfect color. Look at that. Ooh! Oh, look at this one. It has a little bit of yellow and then the same, a very similar shade to the pink. Now I don't know which one. So this is what this one looks like. I think I'm gonna go for the yellow one because then it adds another pop of color. And then to sew it together, I'm going to be using sewing thread and needle. I'm going to try to use blue for the blue section and then pink for the pink section, just so that we don't see the sewing. So I'm going to be placing the pocket with the opening exactly where I want. Make sure that I have the zip section here right into the side, and then I'm going to be pinning the two together, the zip and the crochet. So now we take it to the back, and then we can cut the zipper to the sizing of the pocket opening. We can sew here later just to secure it in place. And now we can sew the pocket in place. I'm gonna open it because it's easier to sew. And then I'm going to use the blue for the bottom and then the pink for the top. I'm going to be using double thread on my needle, and then at the end I'm going to tie a knot with both. So let's take it to the back first and let's secure this in place at the back by going through the end and making it tight. Just gonna trim that a little shorter. And now we can take this to the front and then we can start sewing. I'm gonna go under the crochet, the actual stitch here, and a little bit of the zip. I'm gonna go around it. I don't know if you can see that there. And then sew them together. Go into the next, grab a little bit of the zip, and then going around the crochet and making it tight. And then repeating that all the way across. When you get to the end, I'm going to take this to the back. And then here we are going to secure the end of the zipper in place. Just get to the end, to this section here. So what you want to do, you want to crisscross around the zipper, just in case if the zip comes all the way to the back here, it's not gonna go through the end because we've cut it. So we want to just make a little stopper for the zipper, or you can go around the zipper. That is another option. If you go around it like that, it's really completely up to you. Now I'm going to fasten off and trim. And then I'm going to be sewing the other side. So this is what it looks like. I absolutely love this. Look at that, we have a little pocket with a zip. This is the coolest thing. Absolutely love it. We have a little zipper pocket in our case. I cannot believe it. Absolutely love this. The next one I'm going to show you will be this little tiny rounded oval shaped pocket so we can store our darning needles like that. I'm going to be using blue for the next oval shaped organizer for the tapestry needles. So I'm going to be working my slip knot and then chain 7. Skip the very first chain and then into the next 5 work 1 half double crochet. That chain 1 at the beginning that we have skipped, we are not counting that as a stitch. Into the next chain, make sure that you go under, just grab 2 little loops of that. Into the last one, work 4 half double crochets. So 2, 3, and the last one, 4. So now we are going to be working into the other side of the chain. So work 1 half double crochet into the next 4. So 2, 3, and 4. And then into the last one, work 3 half double crochets. And then slip stitch into the first half double crochet. So here's round number 1. For round number 2, chain 1 and work 1 half double crochet into the next 6. So 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. If you want, you can place a stitch marker into this very first half double crochet. So into the next, work 3 half double crochets, all into the same stitch, and then also into the next one. So 3 half double crochets into the next. Now work 1 half double crochet into the next 6. So 1 half double crochet into the next 6. And now we got 2 left. So work 3 half double crochets into the last 2. So 3 half double crochets into the next, and 3 half double crochets into the last one. Now remove stitch marker and slip stitch into the first half double crochet. So chain 1, leave enough yarn for the sewing, so I'm gonna go around 3 times. So 1, 2, and 3. Trim and fasten off. The one at the back I'm going to weave in. So once you have the pocket with the zip and the little detail we are going to be adding to store our darning needles, we can now sew these 2 onto the case. Remember where we have the reverse, where we've added the stitch marker, so this side is where we are going to be sewing these 2 little pockets. We are going to be sewing first the pocket with the zip. I'm gonna do it on this side. I'm gonna place it exactly where you want. I'm gonna do it right into the edge. Then I'm going to be using my darning needle. And now we can start sewing the two together. So I'm going to be using 2 stitch markers to mark where exactly I'm going to be sewing. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to be sewing these two together and 10 right here. I'm going to be matching the stitches I want to sew. And now I can start sewing the two. So first you want to match the first two and sew them together, and now simply go down, grabbing stitches and sew them together. You have the raw edge here, so you're not going to have actual stitches, so you just have to find stitches and sew the two sides together. So once you've finished this side, now we can do the bottom. So just finished the bottom. Now I'm going to be sewing here the side, the opposite side. So now we have to sew the top of the pocket into the actual base here. So I'm going to be doing into row 10. And if you see into that row, we have some little loops in relief into the panel here. These ones right here. So these are the ones I'm going to be using to sew the pocket in place. So I'm going to be taking one loop of the base and one of the pocket and then sew them together like that. I'm going to go into the first one I can find, and then the first stitch of the pocket, we are going to be using the entire stitch and then sew them together. Go into the next and the next stitch of the pocket, sew them together, and then continue repeating that all the way down. Find the last two, sew them together. Before you finish the sewing, go through the loop to fasten off. And now we can move this end inside the pocket. We can open it, move inside the pocket, and then we can weave in here on the reverse. And here is the pocket sewed in place. This is so good. I absolutely love this. So we have to now figure it out exactly where we want to place our crochet hooks, because we are going to be making little slots for the crochet hooks. I want to make 9 slots in total, so I'm going to be placing them here. Each hook will cover 2 rows. We can skip 2 right after the pocket, and then we can now remove this stitch marker. Then we are going to be marking the next one where we have the little loops. So I'm going to be skipping this one, and then marking this row where I have these little loops here in relief to sew when I get to the end. And then from this, we have to count 18 rows until the next one. 18 is this one right here. So we have to mark this one down, in which has also the little loops, as you can see here. So we can start working on these little loops to make the slots. So from here to here, it's where we are going to be making the slots of the crochet hooks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 slots. So 2 rows per crochet hook. Now that we know exactly where the little slots for the crochet hooks will go, I'm just going to add another one at the top, just so that I don't add anything into this line. After these two, we have 10 rows on this other side. So here is where we can add as many organizers and little pockets as we want. So the first one I'm going to be adding on this other side is this little one here. So I'm going to just make sure that it's right in the center. So we have one row here, one here. Just have to kind of place it right in the center of those two. We need to leave a little space at the top because I want to do a little organizer for the stitch markers. So just leave a little space here of about 5 centimeters. Also, you want to make sure that the end of this oval shape, it's facing up because this is going to become a little hidden pocket. So I'm going to pin this in place. So I'm going to go backwards from here. I'm going to start into kind of these two and then just sew to the other side. And then we can leave this little pocket open. So I'm going to be moving this end 1 stitch just so that we can start the sewing a little bit lower and so that we have a bigger opening for the pocket. So when sewing, you want to grab 1 little stitch of the base and then the stitch of the oval shape here, and then sew them together and then continue sewing, following that all the way around. I got to the top now. I'm going to sew my last one. So I have here at the top 6 going across. Then I'm gonna go into the same one more time, then fasten off, and then we can take it to the reverse and then weave in here at the back. So this is what it looks like. So we have a little hidden pocket, and then we can also store our darning needles here. We can add a little snappy button. I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna be sewing a little snappy button here just so it keeps it nice and flat. So I have this one. I'm going to be adding here. So I just finished sewing the snappy fastener. This is what it looks like. And now we have a little pocket. How cute is this? Now the next 3 things I have to do is the ones that I'm going to be using the actual stitches of the base, the orange part, and I'm going to crochet into the actual panel. First one I'm going to do will be the main one, in which is the biggest one, which is going to go right here in the center, in which is, hello Misty, the slots for the crochet hooks. And I'm planning on doing that using the darker pink. I think it's going to be a nice contrasting color right in the center. And then we're also going to be doing the little flap at the top just to hold the crochet hooks in place. Misty, I cannot focus when Misty's on my lap. I just want to like look at her. Don't bite my crochet, Misty. I'm going to be doing the darker pink for the crochet hook slots, and then the cream one to make the flap of the crochet hooks here at the top. Make your slip knot and then choose where you want to start. I'm going to be doing the slots here at the bottom, so I'm going to start into this part here on the right side. So I'm going to flip my case on this side. So you have to choose the sizing of the slot you want. I'm gonna do it to cover the handle. So that will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I'm going to be folding just to review those loops that we have. These are the little loops I'm talking about. Now you can see them a bit better because it's close up. I'm gonna go into this very first stitch where the stitch marker was, stitch number 13, and I'm going to already attach with a single crochet. And now I'm going to be using every single loop I have, following the stitches. So every single post, there is a little stitch on top. So I'm just going to follow those, and then I'm going to work a single crochet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So this is what it looks like. You can see that it's in relief. And also for these extra sections I'm doing in the actual panel, I'm going to be doing them with single crochets and not half double crochets, just so that the stitches are a little bit tighter. So to work my rows, I'm simply going to chain 1, turn, and then single crochet into every single stitch down. Make sure to get that last one, and then continue just like the second row. Chain 1, turn, and then single crochet all the way down. Once you have 3 rows in total, so I have the base, the second and the third, now this is going to be one slot. So this is what we are going to be now slip stitching to the second row down, and then here's going to be a little slot. So we are going to chain 1 and turn. So now you have to skip the next 2 to find the next set of stitches here. If we fold it, we can see the little stitches there. So we are going to be using those to sew the little slot in place. So you're going to fold, find the first one, and then you're going to go into that first stitch of the extension, the little slot, and then slip stitch. And now you're going to slip stitch all the way up, grabbing both sides. So this is what it looks like. And we have here the little slot of the crochet hook. Check that out. How amazing is that? And now to go back and start doing the rows again, we have to make the next 3 to make the next slot, and then slip stitch into the next 2 rows down. So all you have to do is to chain 1, turn your work, and now here you have to choose which of the stitches you want to use. You can use the far back ones, in which is the one I'm going to be using, or you can use the ones at the top, because if we use the back ones here, we are going to have a nice in relief detail. Go into the next stitch you can find. If you place your hook into the stitch at the back, you will find 2. And then here is where I'm going to single crochet. So you can see the little V's right here at the back. Those are the ones I'm getting. Going to the next 2. And then the next, and single crochet. And then I'm going to follow that all the way down, making sure that I have the 13 single crochets going down. Now I have the 13. Now I'm going to chain 1 and single crochet all the way down, and then repeat that one more time so that I have 3 rows in total. Once you've made the 3 next rows, chain 1, turn your work. You're going to then skip the next 2 to find the next little loops that we are going to be using. So I'm going to be folding to review them. And now I can slip stitch the 2 together. So go into the first 2, make it tight, slip stitch, and then follow that all the way up. Chain 1. When you get at the end, turn, and now we can repeat the same steps again, making the next and as many slots as we want. It looks a little hard, but I promise you this part is one of my favorites to make the little slots because it's just like magic. So now I'm going to continue making the little slots until I have 9 in total. My crochet hooks fit perfectly into the little slots. Look at that! As you can see, I just finished making all of the 9 slots. I left the last one without joining, going up, because I'm going to be sewing it down instead of doing the slip stitches up, but you can also slip stitch it up. And then you are finished with all the slots, and then the last thing is just to sew the bottom together. So I'm going to leave enough yarn for the sewing, so I'm going to leave 3 times the side and then go to the bottom here and then also leave 3 times of yarn, trim, and now I can fasten off. So skip 2, use the stitches of the next one, and then we can sew the 2 sides together, grabbing 1 stitch of the panel and then 1 stitch of the last slot. Into the top one, you want to go through 1 small and then go through the loop to fasten off. And now we are going to be moving this yarn all the way to the bottom in between the half double crochets. Here we can sew the 2 together, so the bottom of the slots with the panel. So take a stitch of both sides and then sew them together, and now continue sewing all the way down. When you get at the end, fasten off and then weave in. Right, so now I have the 9 slots done. Let me show you what that looks like with all of my crochet hooks. Check that out, it's so good. So now the next thing to do is to make a little flap at the top, just so that it holds the crochet hooks in place. For that, I'm going to be using the cream. Make your slip knot. And now you can do as many foundation half double crochets as you need to cover the crochet hooks. So I have here 10 stitches in total. Just gonna place a crochet hook here just to check. I think this is pretty good. So I'm simply just gonna do exactly like the back panel here. Chain 1, turn, and then half double crochet all the way down. 18 rows in total. That's how many I'm gonna do. So just finished making the 18 rows, and this is what it looks like. Now we need to leave enough yarn for the sewing at the top, so 3 times. Trim and fasten off. Let me show you. I'm having a cuddle section right now and receiving kisses. Cuddle session. If you want, you can leave it exactly like this and just sew it down at the top, or you can add a detail going around in a different color. I'm going to be doing that using the dark pink, just so that it matches the bottom. Make a slip knot and then attach into that very first stitch with a single crochet, and now single crochet all the way down. We are going to start the edging, the little shell edging into the bottom here. I'm going to simply just single crochet where we have the sides. When you get into the last one, work 2 single crochets, and now we can start the bottom edging. We have the raw edge at the bottom here. So we are going to be using these bigger gaps. So this one, this one, this one, this one. So into the first one you can find, work 3 double crochets, chain 2, and then 3 double crochets, all into the same stitch. And now into the next stitch, this one, work a single crochet. And now into the following one, the same shell as the beginning. So 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets, and then single crochet into the next. And now continue doing that all the way down. Now I'm going to be making the last shell right at the end. Now we can work into the stitches of the opposite side. So into the very first one, work 2 single crochets, and now 1 single crochet all the way down. Now chain 1, trim, leaving a tail for the weave in, and fasten off. Now I'm going to weave in all of the shorter ends. The flap is complete, and this is what it looks like. Oh my goodness, isn't this the cutest thing ever? Now the next thing we have to do is to sew the flap here at the top. At the end, fasten off, and then take this yarn to the reverse of the flap and weave in. So this is what it looks like. How adorable is this? Look at the little shells. Absolutely love it. It's the next day, and yesterday, this is what I have done. Isn't it so stunning? I cannot even believe. I love this little flap with the shell edging. That is so adorable. Absolutely love that. And today we are going to finish it off. So we have a couple more things to do. So still inside the case, we have a little pocket to add to the bottom here and the stitch marker storage little thingy that I want to do. So I'm going to show you how to do those two first, and then after I'm going to show you the other thing that I want to do, some other little extra details that I want to add to our case just to make it extra cute. So let's go ahead and make next this bottom pocket. I'm going to be doing that using the cream. So for this other pocket, I want to do it right here. I'm going to follow the same steps as I did for the little slots, and you can choose if you want to do 2 little compartments or just 1. I'm going to do just 1. So I'm going to attach into any of the stitches here and then just go down with single crochets and then back and forth until I have the sizing of the pocket I want. So I'm going to start on this side right here into this row with the little loops so that we can make the single crochets. So I'm going to be skipping 2 after the crochet hooks here, and then attach on this side and then just work my little pocket going that way. Make a slip knot and attach where you want it. I'm going to attach 2 stitches up from the base here because I want a little pocket kind of in the center somewhere here. So I'm going to attach into this one already with a single crochet, and then I'm going to single crochet into every stitch until I'm happy with the sizing of this pocket. What do we think about this? I think this is good because then we still have a little space from this other one. So I think I'm happy. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then now I'm going to chain 1 and single crochet all the way down and then go back and forth until I have the sizing, the length of the pocket I want. So I made for my little pocket 10 rows in total. This is what it looks like. And if you have your yarn at the top here, it's better because you're simply just going to sew down and then the bottom. So now we need to leave enough yarn for the weave in, so 3 times. Trim and fasten off. Before we sew it in place, I'm going to be attaching the flower here. So I made this little flower. I'm going to show you how to make it in a second. And then these 2 leaves, it's from this video here. So if you want to make it, you can watch that video. I'm going to link it in the description. And then I thought of putting them at the back like that. I think this is really cute. Look at that, right? So let me show you how to make this super quick little flower. So for this one, I have used fine number 2 yarn with a 3.5 millimeters crochet hook. First, you need the brown. Then you are going to be making a magic ring, chain 1, and then work 12 single crochets into the ring. Once you have the 12 single crochets, close the ring, and then skip that chain 1 and slip stitch into the first single crochet. Now we can fasten off, so chain 1, trim, and fasten off. Now you can bring the color you want to use for the petals. I'm going to do yellow. Make a slip knot, choose any stitch around, and attach the new color already with the single crochet, and this is going to be the first stitch. Chain 1, and then work 2 double crochets into the next stitch, and then chain 1 and single crochet into the next. And this is what we have to repeat all the way around. So chain 1, 2 double crochets into the next, chain 1, and then single crochet into the following one. We are going to be having 6 petals around when you make the last one. So you just finished making the 2 double crochets, chain 1, and then you're going to slip stitch into the first single crochet. And now chain 1, trim, and fasten off. We are going to be using the ends to sew the flower in place, also the ends of the leaf as well. So now we can attach the flower to the center and then the little leaves. Shall we attach the leaves first and then after the flower on top? I think so. I think I'm just going to use one end, so the other one I'm going to weave in at the back. And I'm just going to do halfway. And then take it to the other side. And then sew the other side down. Then I'm just going to weave in. And now I'm going to be sewing the other one to the opposite side. Done. Now I'm going to be sewing the flower right in the center. I'm going to be sewing just the center of the flower. So I'm going to weave in the yellow ends. Just going to hold it in place. And then I'm going to move the petals and then sew around where we have the brown, the center part. And then just sew going around the center of the flower at the back. So this is what it looks like. I absolutely love it. Now I'm going to be sewing the side and the bottom of the pocket with the base. At the end, I'm going to fasten off and then weave in. So here's the pocket. This is what it looks like. Now the last organizer I'm going to be doing inside the case will be for the stitch markers here. So I'm going to be using the light pink. Make a slip knot. And now I'm going to turn it sideways. Now we have to choose from where to where we want to do this organizer for the stitch markers. I'm thinking of doing from this point to about here. Let's see if that's kind of in the center. I think this is pretty good. And then choose where you want to start. I'm going to start into this one, and I'm going to slip stitch. And now we have to chain until we get to the other side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see, 5. And you don't want the chain to be too loose. You want it to be quite tight. I think we can do one more. So 6 in total. I think this is pretty good. Now let's find a stitch here on the opposite side. I think I'm gonna do this one and then slip stitch. Is that nice and even? I think that's good. Now to make some more, we have to slip stitch down into the next and then chain the same amount, so 6. And then turn your work. And then slip stitch on the opposite side into the next stitch down. And now you simply have to repeat the same steps until you have as many little chains as you want to store stitch markers. So I'm going to be having 4 chains down just to store my stitch markers here. You can make some more if you want to. And then I'm going to fasten off. Then I'm just gonna kind of connect them all together. So go into the last one, then get a stitch of the center one. And then to connect the 2 at the top, I'm simply just gonna tie a knot with the 2 ends. And now these 2, I'm going to try to weave in at the back of the loops into the half double crochets here. So this is what the little chains turned out. And then you can simply just add your stitch markers to the little chains. And now we have all of the little pockets and organizers inside our case complete. Check that out! Absolutely love it. This is the coolest thing I have ever crocheted. So fun, so many different little shapes and things to crochet. Now the next thing we are going to be doing will be making a little border going all the way around the case. And we are going to be working on the outside. So I'm going to turn it facing me, and then we are going to be working the border all the way around just to add that extra detail. And then after we have one more thing to do. Yes, I'm excited about that. I was thinking cream. I think it's going to be a nice contrasting color with the orange. So for the border, I've decided to go down to a 3.5 millimeters crochet hook. This one here. You can decide which one you want to use. I've decided to go for the 3.5 because it's way easier just to go through the stitches when we are doing the border. So I'm going to turn my case on the outside. So with your chosen color, make a slip knot. I'm just going to be folding this at the back just so that you can see because I'm using a lighter yarn. So choose any stitch around. I'm going to do it here. Then insert into all the layers you have. If you have 2 layers, insert into both of them. If you have 1, just go through just the 1 layer. I'm going to attach already with a single crochet, and this is going to be the first stitch. Then I'm going to chain 1. So this is going to be the beginning of our shell. Into the same stitch, work 2 double crochets. So 1 and 2. So we don't have anything to skip here because we have the raw edge. So what I do, I just take down my little shell, and then where it touches, it's where I do my single crochet. And now from here we can start again. Chain 1, 2 double crochets into the same stitch, and then choose the next stitch, 2 single crochet. And now we are going to keep on repeating the same steps until we get to the corner, just so that I can show you what I'm going to be doing into the corner. So I go nearly into the corner, so I'm going to be doing a shell here. And then to secure this shell in place, I'm already going to go into the first stitch going down the side. So into this one, so single crochet, and then here I'm going to be making a shell, and then we go to the side. And then to single crochet this shell down, when it comes to where you have the actual stitches here, we have to skip 2 and single crochet into the next. And now we can continue down following the same steps. So I got to the other side. Now I'm going to be making a shell here. Then we are going to be skipping all the last ones, and then single crochet already going towards the bottom. And now here we can make the next shell, and then follow the same steps as we did to the top here. So once you made the last one, the last shell, we simply have to slip stitch into the first one, the bottom of the first one. And then chain 1, trim, and fasten off. Now we can weave in both ends. So this is what the edging looks like all the way around. And this is what it looks like inside the case. If you want, you can leave it exactly like this, and then fold the bigger pocket, and then the rest on top, matching with the corner. And then there you have your case. You can add a tie, for example, like this one, that you can wrap around. So you're going to be adding into the end here, one shorter and one longer, and then you're going to get the longer and wrap around, and then with the shorter one you can simply just tie a bow like that. So this is something you can do going around, or you can add a magnet, in which is what I'm gonna do. So I'm going to be adding this magnet right here. You can add 2 as well, or you can add a button. I'm going to be adding this magnet. Can place the magnet exactly where we want it. Just make sure that it's right in the center. The other one right into this little section here. And then I'm going to be sewing it around using my sewing needle and this orange thread. So just finished sewing the magnet. This is what it looks like. I really, really like it. I wish I had 2 so I could put 2, one on each end here, so that it would keep it nice and flat. But I think I'm gonna order 2 and then place both on the corners. Then it's just gonna keep it nice and flat. So now the next thing we have to do is to make the front detail of our case. I wanted to do kind of like a little frame with some flowers. So that is what I've created. So let me show you everything I made. I still have to put it together, so I'm going to just show you how I'm going to put it together first. So the first thing I made was this little square. Check this out, so adorable. So I made the square 14 stitches across, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 rows going up. So that was my little square. I followed the same steps as I made the base here, but then I made it smaller. So you can do the sizing you want. And then I followed the same border as the case all the way around. And then I made all the way around the square. I made the square in blue and then the edging in pink. And then that is gonna go right in the center, like that. And then this is gonna be a pocket. So we are going to be sewing it all the way around the sides and the bottom, and then leave the top here open just so that we can use as a little extra storage. And then for the flower detail, I've decided to go for the puff flowers and some tiny little leaves. I made 5 puff flowers and 5 tiny leaves. You can learn how to make these flowers and the leaves in this video here. I'm going to link that in the description for you guys. I nearly forgot to mention, but when I made the little flowers and the leaves, I made it also using the number 2 fine yarn, the Iggy by Tessiland.com, and using the 3.5 millimeters crochet hook. So the first thing I'm gonna do before sewing the square onto the front of the case is sewing all the details I want at the top of the square. So that is the first thing. And when placing all the details, you want to make sure that the yarn, it's at the top, just so that it's easier to go around and sew everything together. And then the opening is going to be here. So I was thinking of adding the dark pink and the yellow here at the top, and then the 2 leaves like this, and then the orange one here in the corner, and then the 2 pinks on the sides like that, and then 1 leaf here, the other one on the side, and this one in the center somewhere, maybe here. So this is the layout. Now we can sew everything together. So I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to be following the same steps as I did when sewing this flower and the leaves, just going around and sewing everything together. Here's the front design / pocket. So once you finished sewing or gluing, it's completely up to you how you want to attach the little detail in place. We can now sew. This is going to be the last thing we are going to do for our crochet case. So let's go ahead and sew this to the front of our case. So the front of our pouch / case is this one here, and the square with the design goes right on top. You can do centered like this or a little bit lower. It's going to be completely up to you. I'm going to do it centered. And now I'm going to take this blue yarn that I left here. I'm going to sew all the way around. I'm going to be moving the little frilly edge out of the way, just fold it. Then I'm going to be sewing it, grabbing 1 stitch of the case and 1 of the square, and then sew it together all the way around. And I'm going to be leaving the top here without sewing because I want this to be a pocket as well. Crochet sister, I don't think we are ready for this. So what do you think of this crochet pouch? I absolutely love it. I am obsessed. This is stunning. I cannot wait to make my next one. Should I make another one? Maybe using a different yarn in different colors. Maybe a corded yarn would be amazing because we would get a lot more structure than using cotton or even t-shirt yarn. Yes. If you end up making one, don't forget to tag me so I can see your take on this. Also, I'm going to be writing the pattern. If you prefer patterns, I'm going to be writing the pattern and it's going to be available very, very soon. So stay tuned. I really hope you have enjoyed today's video. I had so much fun recording this one and making today's project. If you have enjoyed today's video, don't forget to leave your massive thumbs up and also don't forget to subscribe here to the channel so you can watch more videos just like this one. Bye and happy crochet!